Okay.
Good morning, it's Tuesday. We're getting ready to get started on the Rutledge Perspective Radio Show live with my guest. I'm so excited. So give us a couple of seconds and we're going to get going. Yeah, it's going to be good. So you can see yourself on the camera. Okay. We're going to be talking with the president of the Houston Area Urban League Guild this morning. And we're going to be talking about all things leadership and education and community service and all that good stuff this morning. So all of y'all tuning in, get ready for an amazing conversation that we're going to have this morning. I'm so glad to be here with you today in studio. Every day on this side of the daisies is a good day. So we are going to take advantage today of this.
Hold on, I'm just waiting.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Laurel Rutledge. I am the CEO of LaurelRutledge.com, the creator of the Rutledge Perspective podcast, and now I am the host of the Rutledge Perspective on KCOH-TV, The Boost, and I am so excited. My background in human resources and also in business and consulting has given me the opportunity to share information with all of you. And what we're going to do is talk about the foundational pieces, whether or not you're building a business or you're building a career. It all comes down to strategy and people. If you don't know where you're going, how do you know who needs to be on your team? So please join me, join in the conversation, catch the show both on the radio, on the app, and also on Facebook. And I will be on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to seeing you there. Are you looking for a place you can work through your next move with no judgment? Are you in need of an advisor that will support your move and tell you the truth? Or are you just ready to take a next step?
Good morning, y'all. We are here live. Hey, cuz. So good to see you online this morning. We are here this morning. I am Laurel Rutledge, the host of the Rutledge Perspective Radio Show live here at the corner of Alameda and Wichita in the historic KCOH-TV radio station, The Boost in Houston, Texas, here in the Tray, 3rd Ward, for those of y'all who are not from Houston, because we don't say 3rd Ward, we just say the Tray. So we are here, and I am so excited to have my guest here. I've got announcements and stuff, but we're going to actually do those at the end. But I am so excited to have my guest, Terry Scott, here with me, and we have a history. Our families have known each other forever. Yes. So Terry's mom Marion, and my mom actually went to Jack Yates together. And then my mom, my grandmother and Miss Marion adopted each other. So she became another daughter to my grandmother. And so we've been together forever. And I remember when my father passed away, my mom finally moved out, got a different house. And I remember Marion came and helped move stuff. Okay. Started calling her Hazel because she would look. She was putting stuff away. And I remember my mom said, Marion, where is my whatever it was? She said, look, you got 30 years to find it. So welcome, Terry. Thank you so much for being here.
I am so happy to be here. Many years I've passed down the street and seen this window. So I wonder what happens in there, And now I'm here. Yes. So I'm so excited to be here on behalf of the Urban League.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited. This is going to be great. So we talk on the show a lot about leadership, about showing up, about community, all of those kind of things. And so I happened to be talking to Mom Marion about some other things. And she's like, yeah, and Terry's going to be the president of the Houston Area Urban League Guild. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
You think she'd come on my radio show? She said, well, just call her. So here we are. Yeah. So first of all, y'all need to know. So Miss Terry has been just retired, enjoying retirement, right?
Yes,
32 years in the defense area.
Department of Defense.
Department of Defense in Human Resources. And so I guess
resource management.
Resource management. And then also did her undergrad. She's got an undergrad in psychology. And she's president of her Red Hat Society here in Houston. Just doing all kinds of things, right? Really very heavily community engaged. And so when Mom Marion told me you were president of the Houston Area Urban League, I'm like, well, of course, because that's what she did, right? Yes. And so maybe tell us a little bit about what the Houston Area Urban League Guild is, and then let's talk about how you got involved in there.
Okay. Let me just say good morning to our listening audience. I am Terry Scott, president of the Houston Area Urban League Guild. And on behalf of Mr. Judson Robinson, who is the president, CEO of the Houston Area Urban League, the Guild is an auxiliary to the Houston Area Urban League. And we support the Urban League by volunteerism in the community, and we also fundraise to help support the core initiatives of the Urban League.
I love that.
Yeah, and there's another auxiliary. There are two of us. The other one is the young professionals.
Okay.
Our age group for the Guild is 40 and up. Theirs is 39 down.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So we both support the Houston Area Urban League.
Oh, I love that. And so how did you come to be involved in this, especially now because you're in San Antonio? So how did you get involved in this and just community service in general?
Well, whenever I would come to Houston, my mother would always say, come ride with me to the Urban League meeting. And I was like, I'm not a part. And she goes, okay, you can sit in the back, you know. And so I would go to the meetings and I would listen. I sit and listen and so forth. So she's really the reason that I'm in the Houston Area Urban League Guild.
So, you know, one of the things that we talk about here, there are a lot of people who are listening who are entrepreneurs starting to build their own businesses. There are some who are doing the corporate gig, you know, but in all of those situations, we talk about what it means to be leadership and be a leader, right? Because leadership is about behavior, not about position. And part of that is building skills and getting yourself ready and prepared. And so as I was looking at the stuff that the Guild was doing, there was this big emphasis on skill preparation, right? And employment and skill preparation. So maybe what is kind of the Guild's philosophy aligned with the Urban League's philosophy around that skill development in our community? And how do we do that? How do we support our folks to do that and be able to build businesses and great careers?
Well, our focus in the Houston Area Urban League and the Guild, the auxiliaries, is to focus on those people that in the marginalized communities and Black and brown people. We go and we try to get those people to come into the Houston Area Urban League so we can teach them the skill sets that they need, give them the tools that they need so they can function properly and succeed in life.
So if because many times, you know, entrepreneurs have the hardest time finding team. Finding people to work with them, right? And I'm thinking to myself, well, you know what? But we've got the Urban League, and the Urban League does work around helping people develop skills. So what kind of encouragement or suggestions do you give to entrepreneurs in terms of getting involved to help build their workforce?
Yes, the same thing. We invite people to come out and join the entrepreneurship class so that they can get the tools and the skills that they need to go on to be successful business people. They just had a big event, like I think last month.
Oh wow! Okay.
And I hear it was really successful. So, you know, anybody can just call it the Urban League and tell them they're interested in the entrepreneurship class. And they can get signed on.
Oh, I love that. Because, you know, here's the thing, y'all. We've been talking about values this month, right? And that I want us to change the wording. So you're not looking for people to pay you what you're worth, because nobody can pay you what you're worth. But you're looking for people to pay you for the value that you bring. And one of the ways you do that is to increase and expand your experience and your skills. And so you don't have to always spend thousands and thousands of dollars to do that. You can reach out to organizations like the Urban League. You can get involved in the Houston Area Urban League Guild and the other auxiliaries and really start to not only build your network, because they say, tell me about you by showing me the 5 people you're surrounded with, right? You can start to build that network for you and those resources that you need by getting involved in some of these things. And so if you were to tell somebody, like, you know, Mom Marion just had you come with her, just come on, go with me, right? But someone who either is new to Houston or is introverted like me, right? It's like, oh, I don't know anybody. Introvert? What would you say? I know. I show up as an extrovert, but then I have to go home and take a nap.
I think that's
right. See, yes. I mean, I can do it when I have to, right? But how would you tell somebody the first steps to do to start getting out there? Because especially if you're building a business or you're even trying to show up as a leader, you've got to figure out how to engage with people. What would you tell people to do who are afraid to just step out there and get involved?
Well, first, I would invite them to join our organization. And then I would invite them to come out on a community service event with us, because not only are we out there volunteering, we're actually networking with other like-minded organizations. And then they can, because I ran into a young lady like that one time. She goes, I just moved here. I don't know anybody. And I invited her to join so that she could go out with us to these volunteering events and get to know other people. And then that way you get engaged and you can go ahead and, meet people and start doing some good things in the community. And that's what we're all about.
And I think that's where, if you think about some of the businesses that are most successful that people build, they're more social enterprises, right? They're for profit, they're making profit, but they really have a deeper why as to what they're doing. And so how you engage in what that why is really indicative of who you are.
Right.
So like for me, it's all about education. And so I was so happy when Mama Marion reminded me about this, because I thought, you know what, I've been talking about getting more involved, especially on that education piece, because like right now we're back in this whole thing in HISD about the state taking over. You know what, y'all, for those of you who are not in Houston, Texas, our school district is, again, the injunction is gone. So our school district now might be taken over by the state Board of Education, which is a big deal. And may replace school board. I mean, it's a whole hot mess is what it is. And so, it really reminds me of how important it is for us to really think through not only education itself, but the disparities. So you're saying we've got poor performance at like Phyllis Wheatley, and then they just had this big old debacle at Yates where they took the principal out. You saw that?
Oh no, I saw something on Facebook.
So so my question becomes, what are we doing to support our schools for our kids, right? Black and brown kids, marginalized kids. What are we doing to ensure that the quality of education is there? But also, what are we doing to make sure that the measurements are appropriate, right? And that they're not just kind of rookie doing the measurements to just say ours aren't doing well. So when you think about the league and the guild and that whole idea of educating people, give me a little bit more kind of around that philosophy of how do we invest more in building not only our young people, right? So for the other guild is kind of the Young Professionals Guild, but how do we really invest in the education of our community to build leaders going forward?
Right. I really do believe that it starts with the children. I know that the whole of Houston Area Urban League, you'll hear me refer to it as the Hall.
I love that.
The Hall, a location on Griggs, they have a young man there, Mr. Kendrick Kitchens, and he's over a program called Project Ready.
Okay.
And that Project Ready works with Yates and Worthing High Schools right now.
Right.
He, wants to branch out, but right now it's Yates and Worthing. And it's a mentorship program. And I think we as adults have to be mentors to our children so that they can grow up with these values. We can instill these values, how important education is, and so forth. We have a lot of students that will go on to be athletes, but as soon as that drops out, what's left, So he was telling me, Mr. Kendrick Kitchens was telling me that he has like 3 mentees to 1 mentor.
Wow.
Because we don't have enough mentors. And it is a vetting process that you have to go through, and you have to take an online training course and all of that, the background checks. And
of course, because you're dealing with children.
Yeah, you're dealing with children. But I think we have to start there first. And and on like now in the guild, we're getting more members that have doctor's degrees and 2 master's degrees. So they're highly educated. They're looking for more through this organization. And we have to be able to make changes to accommodate, their ideals and stuff, because I consider myself a servant leader, and I value what you bring to the organization. So I think that's where we need to start.
So tell me, and I didn't tell her I was going to ask her this, but I'm going to ask anyway. It'll be easy. So tell me, when you think about you and your career trajectory, what besides Mom Marion, right? What was it for you, because I know her. What was it that drove you through your career decision? So, kind of take us through that process for you. And now you're like leading this organization that is truly community developed, but everybody's road is different. Right. So what was your road, and then what made you make some of the decisions you made as you went along in your career?
Well, because I was previously married to military, we traveled a lot. So every time we moved, I had to get a different job. Yeah. So my first job was accounting, and I didn't like it, but from one place to the next, right. It's not what you know all the time, it's who you know. Exactly. And so in that network of accounting, I kept getting jobs in accounting and budgeting, now resource management. And I really didn't like it, but I continued to do it for 32 years. Right. And then after I decided to retire, it's like everybody was telling me you have to have a plan when you retire, so you just don't sit home and waste away. Right. And so I started thinking, so one day, one Sunday, I didn't go to church, and I heard this voice that just said, you should go back to school, because I had been going to college along the way, but I could never get finished, right. And so I got my degree later in life, but I've always wanted to, get my degree. But the voice I heard said, go for psychology and Christian counseling. And I was like, oh my God. Well, I always knew I wanted to be in psychology, but Christian counseling, do they really go together? Right. And sure enough, I said, I'm going to apply at 3 universities, and the first one that comes across, so that was Liberty University. And so I took the course while I was still working, and I was taking classes and everything. And then when I finished, I heard this voice again to say that you're going to counsel like on a layman's term, you're going to just for the lay people that can't afford it in the marginalized communities. But what I found out is that when you don't pay, you're not committed, When you don't pay, you are not committed. So you have a free service, that's being offered to you, and we make appointments, but you don't keep them. Right. And so that's the path that I've taken. And then, like I said, outside of my mother, I was just called to ask, do you want to run for president? And I was like, to be honest, I was taking a good old retired nap when I got this call in my recliner, just about to snore. Right. And they said, we're looking for a president. And I was like, no, I don't think so. Nobody's going to vote for me. I live in San Antonio. And they said, it's not a prerequisite that you live here in Houston, And I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, throw my name in the hat. But I'm so sad because nobody's going to vote for me. And they said, we don't think you have to worry about that. And then when we got the slate of candidates, I was the only one running. So I felt like I was bamboozled. But it's been so rewarding. I've learned a lot. There's been a lot of challenges, but this is my road, and I just look forward to, I've already done 1 year, it's a 2-year term. Okay. And so I'm in my last term right now, year. And I'm just looking forward to everything. We got the national conference coming here. Yes. The National Urban League Conference is coming to Houston. Yeah. When? It's July 26th through the 29th. Okay. We have a pre-conference date only for the Guild chapters on the 25th. Okay. It's going to be at the George R. Brown Convention Center. We're real excited. Yes. We're trying to build momentum for it right now. Yes. And we're looking for sponsors. Can I say that? Yes, absolutely. We're looking for sponsors because on the 25th, the Guild has to do a reception. Okay. And we have to find a venue for about 250 people. Okay. And we need sponsors because, we're a 501c3. Absolutely. And we just need money. Right. We need the money. We need the support. So if anybody's out there listening and can offer us some support, we will gladly take it. You can reach out to me at president@hallguild.net. Yes. And, I'll get you in contact with who you need to talk to. I love that. And yes, you can. So listeners, the beautiful thing about Jerry and I were just talking about values last week and about just showing up, right? Like you said, you kept showing up. Marion was like, just come. And you just kept showing up. You may have been sitting in the back, but you were showing up. You were there. And so we have, because we've been showing up,
you know, the audience is global. We got tons of people that are here in Houston,
Okay.
in the Houston area, Missouri City, all over the place, right?
Mhm.
So if you are so inclined, one, to get involved, right?
Yes.
And looking for a place for you to use your genius to assist someone else and assist the community, this is a place to go. So president@hallguild.net to get some information, or you can go onto the website, right?
Yes.
So you can go onto the website and also get information. So you can just get involved. But also this event that's coming up in July, if you are interested in sponsoring, please reach out, because the things that the Urban League does and that the Houston Area Urban League Guild does are meeting needs that are not met by other organizations. And that's not to say that the chambers aren't doing great work. They are.
Right.
But this is just a different tact at getting to the community, right? So just research it, right? Educate yourself. And if you're so inclined, please, I encourage you to sponsor, because it's going to be fabulous. I was looking at all the stuff, getting ready for it, and I'm like,
Yes.
I'm like, I need to go. I need to buy my ticket so I can be there. So I might just, Jerry, we might need to do a live
When?
from the event in July.
Oh, that would
I'm
be
just saying.
awesome. Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Jerry's like, why are you doing this to me on
Yeah,
the air? Right?
I'm gonna go.
Right. It's like, don't commit me to nothing. Let's talk about it.
I know.
So
It's just a proposal.
right, just a thought, just
Yes.
a thought. We're gonna think about it. But yeah, so please think about getting involved in that. And so, you know, you talk about servant leadership, and again, that whole idea of leadership being about behavior and not position,
Mhm.
and really thinking about, you know, what you want to do and where you want to be, and continuing to pursue this degree, even though
Mhm.
moving around. And we know we probably have a lot of military spouses out there across the
Oh,
globe
yes.
who are, or let me say, military partners, right? Because it
Mhm.
could be a wife, it could be a husband, it could be just kids,
Yes.
whatever. Lots of military significant others
Yes.
who are having to, you know, be so resilient and just pick up and go when they say go and start all over.
Yes.
And yet you did not stop. You said, I always wanted to get this degree. I always wanted to do this, right?
Right.
And I kept doing the accounting because, and you're right. I mean, accounting, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, they need accountants.
Yeah,
So you can
right.
always find something to
Mhm.
do. But there's that burning in the gut,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
That says keep going. So
Yeah.
what for you, if you could pinpoint it for someone who is thinking, man, I'm of a certain age and I still don't have my degree. I just can't.
And you can.
What is it?
Yes. Excuse me. You really can. I had that burning desire to always finish school.
Mhm.
I was actually a good student.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. I'm just
Mhm.
getting over this crud.
Yeah.
I was actually a good student in school. I finished in the top of my class in high school
Mhm.
with honors, and I've always enjoyed learning.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always that burning desire, you know, I want to go back to school. And then it was always this thing that my ex-husband would say, he's going to get me for this,
Yeah.
but he was like, well, the military pays for my school, but we have to pay for your schooling. And that was true.
It
So
was
then
true,
as
but
a mother
yeah.
and a wife, you step
Mhm.
back,
Right.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and take care of the family.
Right.
But once the divorce happened, it was on and popping.
Right.
It was on and popping. I just
Right.
said, oh, here, I'm going back, and I'm not going to stop until I finish.
Yes.
And that's what happened. So I encourage all military spouses or
Yes.
significant others that, you know, go with your vision of what you have for your life
Mhm.
and what you want to do, and you can succeed.
I love that. And you know, one of the things for me that I have not gotten as much involved in since I left corporate as I wanted to. When I was in when I was at my plant in Baytown, when we were doing some recruiting, we started
Mhm.
actually going to bases. Like we went to Camp Lejeune, went some other
Okay.
places. Because I'm a believer in you do hire people for skills, of
Mhm.
course. But there's some intrinsic character things
Yes.
around work ethic,
Mm-hmm.
right? Around critical thinking and
Right.
things like that. And I think so often we marginalize military folks,
Mm-hmm.
which also is a place where there are lots of marginalized folks, right, in the military.
Mhm.
And we often marginalize military people because we're like, oh, are they going to be able to do civilian? Oh, are they going to be able to lead people? Oh, Look,
Yes.
let me tell you how many bad leaders who ain't never been enlisted in nothing.
Yes.
Right. And so don't assume that that there's people that have been in military service who aren't going to be able to lead.
Mm-hmm.
Does the Houston Area Urban League or any of the guilds have any kind of thing that also works specifically with military significant others or those getting out. I always forget the name, what the stuff you go through right before you get out. But is there a
yeah,
way
I
that
know what
works?
you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I can't ever remember that.
I know that at Missionary Urban League, that they do have a program that is associated just for veterans.
Okay.
And so anybody that's interested, I would have you to reach out or go to the website hull.org and research it, or pick up the phone and call the Houston Area Urban League and ask about it. I don't know all the details about it, but I was just reading that they do have a veterans program.
I love that because there's so, when you're talking about building your team, so entrepreneurs, I'm talking to you, right? When you're talking about building your team, finding people who can be around you, who can be reliable, who can be kind of your go-to person. You need to be clear about what you want, but you need to be willing to cast your net widely, right? Broadly. And to not immediately go in and say, well, I only need this, because I'm telling you, as an HR person for more years than I care to count, there are so many people that we leave because we feel like they don't have talent. And let me tell you, everybody's got talent.
Right.
Everybody's got talent. So you need to be clear on what skills you want, and then just look for the skills. Don't look for, well, if they work at this company, then I want them, or if they did this job, then you don't know that, because they may have been at that company or done that job, but they may still not have the skills you want. Look for skills and then talk to people about whether or not they're a fit. And opening up your mind to that military partner, right? That military vet is one way to get some incredible talent. Yes. Right. And talk about people who are resilient and who can figure out a way to make something work. Come on now. Right. So let's get back to the Houston Area Urban League, because I want to make sure that you get a chance to really let people know about what the Guild is doing and about, what the Urban League is doing. So tell us a little bit about where people who are listening, how they can think through either joining the Guild and the things that you guys are doing and pushing out there, kind of your foci for this next, few years, for this last term that you have, this last year of your term.
Well, what we're doing is we're kind of outdated on our website, and so we're trying to build up. You said you went out to the website. We're trying to build the technology as far as how we advertise certain things that we're doing, and so that's an ongoing process right now. But I would encourage people to go onto our website or reach out to me at the email that I gave, and just come out and join us. We're going to be at the Marriott on off of I-45 at the HBCU College Fair on March 4th. And we're a community partner with them. And this is going to be the first time that the Guild has done it. I think the young professionals, they've done it before. But this is our first time. So we're real excited because it's a new adventure for us. We're going to be volunteering. We're going to have a table there for membership. Our membership is up to like 115 now. It doesn't sound like a lot, but from where we started, and all of our members have to be financial according to the bylaws. So we're moving up. We're not going back. We're moving up forward. And so when the next person takes over, they'll have a good group to work with. But if you want to get involved, membership is the first thing. And then just, get with people, ask people that are already involved, why are you involved? What are you doing? And everything. So, because volunteerism is our biggest thing. Next to, we do an annual fundraiser for the hall. And that's coming up in March. We have a date, but we don't. We're right in the process of selecting the venue. Right now. So that's what I would do. I would just say, get with somebody that's already in the Guild and ask them. And when you join, let us know who referred you. That's very important.
And so you've got the fundraiser coming up in March. You've got the HBCU fair that you're partnering with, and that's also, I think you said March.
Yes,
in March. And I know I saw that there's a training next week, and I can't be there. I'm so irritated for folks who want to be judges for voting.
The VDVR training. The volunteer deputy registration.
Y'all, you know how I feel about voting, right?
Honey,
all the time. And we're going to talk about that in the announcements. So is that something that the Guild puts on itself? Do you partner with somebody? How does that work? And how would people sign up for that?
You can go to pollyp.org.
Okay.
They set it up,
Mhm.
and we're partnering with Harris County Administration
Right.
Office.
Mhm.
They're going to come in. You have to register for this because they're going to give you your certificate and everything right on the spot when you finish the training.
Okay.
The training is from, I believe it's 6:30 to 7:30.
Okay.
On January 28th. It's at the Hall Building downtown.
Okay.
1301 Texas Avenue,
Mhm.
I believe.
Mhm.
And so yeah, go to the website and register
Mhm.
for it.
And so if they go through that, then that
Mhm.
gets you eligible to like work a poll and that kind of
Yes.
stuff, right?
Mhm.
See, so y'all, because y'all know I was
Yes.
trying to be a poll worker and I sent in all my stuff and I never heard anything. So you bet if I could, and I'm gonna look at my calendar again and see if I can move some stuff around.
Right.
I am determined to be at a poll next thing.
But this is an in-person training, but they
Yes.
also do training online. When
Ooh,
I
great.
did it
Mhm.
online.
See,
Yeah. It's real convenient,
I
and it
love it.
doesn't take long.
I
Less
love
than
it.
an hour.
I love it. See, and this is why we want to educate you on the Rutledge perspective. Oh, so you are ready
Yes.
to get your vote on when it's
Mhm.
time, right? Because you don't miss a vote. We never miss a vote. So what are some of the other things coming up? We got the career fair, we got the fundraiser, we got this voting registration or deputy voter coming up, in next week. What are some of the other things throughout the year that are coming up for the Guild?
Well, we're kind of on tap of not doing a whole lot of stuff because the conference is coming to town.
Oh, that's right.
They're
Yes.
going to come in, they're going to lock down a lot of
Mhm.
venues, and everything is going to be about
Yes.
the National Urban League.
Mhm.
So really right now our concentration is just the momentum
Mhm.
to build for the conference.
Yes.
Working the auxiliaries, working with the Houston Area Urban League, and they in turn working with National.
Okay.
We happen to have the national president, of the National Council of Urban League Guilds. He's actually a part of our chapter.
Oh,
He's
great.
a past president.
Okay.
And so it's great to have him
Yes.
as a part of the team because, when we're making decisions, he can say, oh, you're going in the right direction or not. And so, but right now, that's as far as we've gone up through July.
Right.
And I know the hall will probably have like a equal opportunity luncheon that's usually in June.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's going to be May or June because we're having to back things up because of the conference.
I love that because it's such a great opportunity for folks to get involved, right? And to have the national conference coming. I'm telling you, Houston is getting to be one of those places where people are coming. Because AKA we had our national here, our Boulay here not too long ago. The regional has been here recently.
Oh wow.
I think the Deltas had their national conference here. So it is a place with GRB and everything they're doing downtown to really come and do some things. And more importantly, to show up, because especially being on the national stage now, right, of all of the urban leagues. And so what do you know yet? What kind of like numbers are we talking about for people to
Oh, I have
think
no
about?
idea. I had to miss my first conference. So my vice president, Bessie Fletcher, she attended the conference for me. I had a pre-planned trip that I had to make. But so this will be my first one. So I'm really excited because I'm just listening to what everybody's telling me about it. But I'm really excited to be a part of it. You know, it's not too often. We were supposed to have one in 2019 here in Houston, then COVID hit. So we weren't able to have it. So I'm looking forward to, being president and, being the host guild for the conference.
Because there's so many things that we got postponed because of COVID, right? And having to try to come back and do those things and be engaged kind of at that leadership level. And so for people who are looking at a way to take their servant leadership to the next level, we've talked about getting involved with the league, coming in and maybe even going to the HBCU career fair and going to the table. Even if you're not interested in the career fair, they're going to be there with the table. Go look at, membership.
Right.
Maybe when you talk about volunteering, we talked about some of the mentoring, but what are some of the other ways that people can get involved with volunteering with the Guild?
Well, like I said, first you have to join.
Right.
And then You know, we have, every time we put a flyer on the website,
Mhm.
there's an RSVP.
Okay.
And so you can go and RSVP for that
Mhm.
event.
Mhm.
And that's all it really takes. You know, show up at the specific location.
Yep.
And, you know, we're there collectively to do something. Now for MLK Day,
Yeah.
we did donations of
Mm.
toiletries
Okay.
to a nursing home.
Mhm.
But again, the hall was in the parade.
Yes.
And then I think they went to City Hall
Mhm.
after that. And then the YPs, they did a cleanup and beautification of Zuri
Oh yeah, I
Park.
saw that. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that's all it takes. You know, we can make it sound hard, but it's really simple. It's not that hard. Just coming in and being a part, using your skills and talents and abilities. We have committees. Join a committee. I encourage everybody that joins to join a committee. You know what you like. You know what you're good at. Just join that committee and become a part of a team.
Right.
And then in that area, work to propel us forward, you know, and what we're trying to do. So,
and what are some of the committees that are out there now?
we have the advocacy committee, we have budget and finance, we have digital and social media, we have membership, we have public relations that kind of does all our flyers and stuff. We have youth, child and youth development. They do everything for the kids, programs and stuff for the kids. We have hospitality, of course. So if we put on any functions, you know, that's mom's.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
And, you know, so, and we have a couple of other, all that you see on our website, but we have a few others that we're going to add. That we should have, but we just don't have chairman for them yet.
Right. Well, and especially when you talk about a social media and digital marketing, if you have, you know, skills in that area and you're looking for a way to volunteer,
this is the place. We'll take you.
Look at Hall Guild, right? Because they're and I can tell you as a business owner who had to become her own IT person.
Yes.
If you can find someone who can assist with that, right, on a volunteer basis, especially for a 501c3, if you are gifted in that area, if that's your zone of genius and you're looking for a way to give back, really consider, you know, the Hall Guild to be able to do that, because there's so many opportunities to be able to give back and to be able to make an impact, right? Right, to be able to get some things out there. So we are going to take a quick break here in a couple of minutes so we can do some shout outs. I'm going to give Jerry a minute to pull those up, but we're going to do some shout outs here in a minute. So, you know, if you think about Hall in general, right, and then as the guild support them, what are some of the big issues that Hall is tackling right now?
The biggest issues, you know, we have the disparities in the school. As a matter of fact, Mr. Robinson put me on a committee. I don't know if you know Mr. Johnny Mata.
I know the name, but I don't know him personally.
Okay, well, he started a committee, an education committee is what he called it. And it was for all of the school districts. And what they were getting a lot of complaints of disparity that was being shown for Black and brown kids. And so he started taking on those cases.
Okay.
And then on that education committee, we would hear what the issue was. And then we're going to, you know, just look at it because they have lawyers and everybody on that committee. And Mr. Mata would go out and write letters and stuff and say, hey, we're going to have a press conference, this and that. But I didn't realize how intense that was. And I learned so much just by being on the committee, and how there are different days or time frames that the schools should respond by or get information to the parents, and it doesn't happen. And it was like, oh, wow, this is really interesting. But that was one big thing that I know that I was a part of. But anything, just like we did voting, we helped out, we collaborated with Houston in Action, and we had the Get Out to Vote project. But when we were working with Houston in Action, I was here on election day working at the for the Shrine of the Black Madonna.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, I was out
Mhm.
there. And, you can only go so far. You have to
Right.
stay far back.
Mhm.
But we were greeting the voters, thanking them for coming out to
Mhm.
vote. And when they were leaving, we were asking, "How was your experience?"
Yes.
And some of them were wanting to stop and tell
Yes.
you,
Mhm.
and then some of them would just give you the thumbs
Right.
up. But the voting, that's why we couldn't get together
Yes.
because voting, all the voting stuff that was going on was a
Oh,
real
yes.
real big thing.
Mhm.
We also left there because some voting people that came to vote informed us that Sunnyside polling
Mhm.
station
Mhm.
that morning, all of their machines went
Yes.
down.
Yes.
And
I remember
so
that.
we went over there to see how those polling
Mhm.
experiences were. But about the time we got over there, like in the afternoon,
Mhm.
they were back up and running.
Yeah.
So things are going smoothly.
Yeah, that was the challenge because then they
Mhm.
didn't extend the time, and it was just it was kind of funky.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna finish on kind of the top things, but we're gonna do some shout outs real quick.
Okay,
Who we got in?
United Kingdom tuned in,
Yeah.
Macedonia, France, Canada, Brazil, Mexico, Germany, Finland, Hamburg. We've also got, let's see, Panama City tuned in,
Yay!
Frankfurt, Helsinki tuned in, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Omaha,
Yeah.
Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio,
Yay!
Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Washington, and Kansas City, and Houston as well.
I love it. Thank you guys for tuning in around the world. We really appreciate it. And, yes, we're talking about the Houston Area Urban League, right? And the Houston Area Urban League Guild and all the things happening kind of here. But this is bigger than just Houston. And so if you're looking for something to do in your city in the US, right, we've really got urban leagues everywhere. So go to your city, figure out where the Urban League is, see if there's an Urban League Guild, see if there's a way for you to get involved, because it's a place where you can use your gifts to serve the community, right? And find out what their big things are that they're going after. And if that's something that burns in your gut, get involved in that, right? It's not always about money. Sometimes it's about time. What people need is time, right? Because you can renew money, you can do fundraisers, you can get people to, but getting people to give their time.
And that's what we do. We encourage people. We actually have a matrix on our website where our guilders will go in and put in their hours, because hours equates to dollars. So if you were paying for the services that we deliver when we go out and volunteer, it just shows you, I don't know what the rate is now. I think the last time I looked, it was somewhere close to $28 an hour. So when you add those thousands of hours up at the end of the year, it equates to money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So please think about that where you are. If there is an urban league that you can get involved in, they could use your help, right? And use your services and use your expertise to be able to move things forward, right? To be able to impact organizations, to be able to impact communities, to be able to just make things a little bit better for some folks. Right. And especially for those of us who, we may not be independently wealthy. There may not be, may not have everything we want and have the Tesla in the garage or whatever, right? Or the Porsche or whatever your thing is. But we can all give of our time. Right. We can all give up our time. We can find a way to give up some time, right? There's a way to do that. And because time is not renewable, you want to be intentional about where you put your time. And if there's a way you can do that actually supports and helps and uplifts someone else, what better way? Yes. What better way to do that? Just do it. Yeah, just do it. So what other things? So we talked about, voting is a big one. We talked about the education is a big one. What else from the Urban League and the Guild's perspective are the big things y'all are working on? Or the big areas of focus?
Our biggest area of focus right now is really to just educate, like you said. And I don't know, it changes with what's happening in the communities, because if something happens in the community, the Urban League is going to get wind of it. And then it becomes the voting in Georgia, that election, that became a big thing. I was having a retreat at the hall downtown,
Mhm.
and the president, Judson Robinson,
Mhm.
he came in to get on the phone
Wow.
to talk to people in Georgia,
Mhm.
do some phone banking,
Yes.
say get out to vote because we really need this seat.
Mhm.
And so it just depends on what's happening in the
Mhm.
community
Mhm.
as far as what, is big on our plate.
Right. And I think that's an important thing to understand is that talks about how responsive the league is,
Mhm.
right? And the guild is. So there are kind of these overarching, here's what we do as an urban league. Here's what we do as a guild. But the big piece of that is responsiveness around issues that are impacting the community. Right.
Yes.
And being flexible enough and having enough people and volunteers, right, to be able to respond
That's
when
right.
something big happens.
Right.
That we need to phone bank. And if you're a big phone banker, we've talked about this a lot. I am not a marcher. I'm not, right? I'm not a phone banker, but I will use this platform to talk about it all the time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because to whom much is given, much is expected. And so I will talk about those issues all the time on this platform. And I will give my time. I will give my money. I'm not going to march. It's not my thing.
And that's kind of how we are because, as I mentioned earlier, our age range is 40 and up.
Mhm.
So that's when you start getting all these health issues
Right.
and so forth. So we're not going to go out and walk door to door. We leave that to the young professionals. But we did do a thing before the year ended. The guild collaborated with the young professionals, and we went to the CUNY home.
Oh yeah.
And we had these bags that we went knocking on the doors,
Mhm.
and so it was really fun. I enjoyed it. But normally we're not going to do
Right.
the door-to-door camp. We'll do the phone banking,
Yes.
the text banking,
Mhm.
and so forth. But we'll leave that to the younger
Yes,
people.
yeah, the canvassing. And
Yeah.
and part of it, I just have to be, real with me. Part of it is just I'm just chicken, right? This day and age, when you're canvassing and you're knocking on doors, you don't know what's going to be on the other side of that door.
Sure.
And so I just, even though there's so much security now and people, there's all kinds of training if you're doing
Right.
canvassing. So don't let my nervousness around that keep you from doing something that you really feel called to do. Because I know a lot of people, I have some really good friends who that is their thing. They love it.
Really.
They love canvassing. They love meeting the people.
Right.
Right. And talking to people and understanding firsthand what the issues are, not all this stuff we hear on the news and on social media. Stay off social media when you're trying to figure out real information.
That's true.
Okay. Go to reliable sources to get real information. So they love the idea of engaging directly with people. And I think that's what I really love about the guild, right? Is that ability to involve directly with people, engage directly
Yes,
with
we
people
love that.
about what the issues are. So you talked about the youth and the mentorship program. Would they still come to you, or where would they go if they wanted to get in touch with Mr. Kitchens if he's still looking for mentors and stuff?
You can reach out to the whole guild location on Griggs.
Okay.
And that's where Mr. Kitchen's office is, and just ask for him, and then he'll give you direction or send you an email with a link to get started.
Beautiful. Because that, y'all, I mean, our young people, so even if you don't love children, right? These are the people that are going to be making decisions for you when you're 70, 80, 90.
That's right.
So think about that. Even if you don't you just don't want to be around. What can you do to ensure that the people that are going to be making decisions for you are able to think critically?
Yes.
To assimilate information, to be able to not just follow behind, just get along, but to really be able to think, to be able to move, and to be able to act in the best interest of a greater body.
Yes, most definitely.
So think about that, and especially mentorship, right? And it's really difficult sometimes to get that. And I know for me, you guys have heard me talk about that when I think about this business and why I really built this business. Yes, to get out of corporate, and yes, on the surface, that's real. It's not fluff. To really be able to make a bigger impact than I could in corporate America, to make a much bigger impact, a direct impact. That's why I did that. But the deeper why is to be able to build a foundation that really impacts education. I don't want any teacher to have to keep coming out of their pocket to stock their classroom. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a lot of that going on.
I don't want kids to go without food because their parents couldn't pay the month. Stop that madness. Kids can't learn if they're hungry.
That's right.
They can't learn if they're hungry. So what? They need the meals. And okay, so it may not be the best food in the world, but it's food, it's nutrition. How can we do something to ensure that there is a standard of excellence around education for every child, regardless of socioeconomic status, right? And that for me is the deeper why of why I do this, why I do this radio show, why I have these amazing guests on, because it's so important to understand where we can impact, because it's not about us.
That's right.
It's not about us.
Take your mind off of yourself.
Yeah. It is not about us. It is not about us. Well, I'm looking at 5 minutes. So I'm so happy. One, that I got to see you, because I haven't seen you in so long.
Really.
That I got to see Miss Terry sitting here on my show. I can't believe it. It's like full circle, family coming into the studio. And I'm so grateful that you agreed to come on, because I know you were telling me this is the first time I've done an interview. You did great.
Thank you.
You're fine.
I'm not as nervous as I thought I was going to be.
Because I told you it's just like a conversation.
Family. Yeah.
Right. And so I'm so appreciative that you spent the time to do that, because I know there's a lot going on, and you drove from San Antonio to do this. Mm-hmm. So thank you. Thank you for
having me.
Absolutely.
It's my pleasure.
And for being here and for letting us know what's going on. And I want to give you guys a few announcements. I don't know if there were any comments or questions. I know a lot of people just listen and take notes. So.
Okay. Just listening. Cynthia.
Okay, awesome. Hey, good morning, Dr. Cynthia.
Missouri City.
From
you know.
Missouri City is in the house. Yes, she keeps us honest.
Oh,
make sure
okay,
you call out Missouri City and Ross Sharon, because they're probably there to listen to, and Rosenberg and all those folks. So, but I want a few things for you guys to remember. So, we always talk about voting. If you are not registered, I need you to go get registered. It's pretty simple. Just go get registered. There should be no excuse for you not being registered. If you are registered or believe you're registered, go check your registration. You don't have to wait until an election comes up to check your registration. Go check your registration. Make sure it's accurate. Make sure all the stuff is there, because they're continuously finding ways, covert ways, to suppress the vote, including the way you're registered and was your application in on time, all that kind of stuff. So here's a great time to get registered, because you're not going to get caught up in all the madness. Go get registered to vote. Secondarily, there are still elections going on right now. There's some recall elections, there are special general elections. Georgia's got a lot happening. So make sure you're registered, and then go find out what's happening locally. It starts local. Those big federal ones, they're big, and we need to pay attention to them. But the drama and the pain starts local. So pay attention to what's going on locally. Mayoral races coming up, councilman races coming up, right? Pay attention to those kind of things. The states that have elections coming up in the next couple of weeks, Tennessee, New Jersey, Georgia, California, and Mississippi, you have some special elections, some recalls, some specials for the seats where people got ousted and got to get reinstated and all kinds of madness. So make sure you are registered in time. Go to your state board of elections. Don't go on social media. Go to your state board of elections and find out all the detail. Another place you can go that is reliable is ballotpedia.org. Ballotpedia. That has a list of all of the ballots. If you want a sample ballot, you can get a sample ballot. It's got all the dates that are happening all across the state. Ballotpedia. And you can also go to whenweallvote.org, and you can go to vote.gov. There are plenty of places that are legitimate places for you to find out what's going on, where they are, where the votes are. So please do that. Please go get registered and make sure you are ready to get involved in the voting process, because what happens to one of us happens to all of us. So do that. Globally, Slovakia has one coming up, because again, if it happens around the globe, we are a global, right, community now. It's not just, even though there are a lot of people trying to go back nationalist, we are connected globally at this point.
Right.
To unwind, we can't unwind that clock. We are connected. So what happens around the world impacts all of us. So know that Slovakia is going to be having a vote here coming up soon in January. Further announcements. Next week, we're going to be doing live remote for the radio show. So I'll be doing some announcements. You'll see that. I will be at a conference doing some professional development for myself. So I'm going to do the radio show live on Tuesday. From there, I'm not sure where I'm going to be, but those of you in Puerto Rico who have been listening and tuning in, I will get posted. So if y'all want to come out and see what I'm doing and hang out and get on camera or something, just come on out and see me. And I'll be doing the same thing for the podcast. So I will be live several times next week remotely. So I'm really excited about that. Also coming your way is going to be a 30-day mindset shift video series that I'm putting out there. I'm finishing up the last videos now. So I'll have that up on my website soon. So it's just one little short video, no longer than about a minute to 2 minutes to just kind of shift your perspective, a way to think about something different. So a 30-day process to just get your mind right. So that'll be up on my website soon. I am refreshing my website, so stay tuned. It's probably not going to be done until March, but you can find all things Laurel Rutledge out on the website, laurelrutledge.com. You can find everything there. You can get to the podcast there. You can get to the radio show there. You can get to the fireside show there. All my old podcast episodes are out there. Everything is there. So you can also join my mailing list. You can get my emails, contact me, especially if you're a small business owner. So start looking at those things. I'm putting together a VIP day option. I'm probably not going to call it VIP day because everybody calls it VIP day. So y'all know me. I'll call it something else. But really start thinking about your strategy, really learning how to continue to lead with your heart, but act with your head as you're building a business. So stay tuned for all of those things. So with that, this is Laurel, your Chief Navigation Officer, host of the Rutledge Perspective Radio Show Live, saying thank you to Miss Terry Scott for being here. And thank you to Jerry P. Beasley, producer extraordinaire, for being here today. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I really appreciate it. And I will catch you next week, live and on the air from KCOH TV radio station, The Boost. Take care. Bye, everybody.